And now it's a nice sort of officious thing. All right. Well, welcome all, Comms 103. My name's Bernie Nofel. Feel free to call me Bernie. I teach and I've taught a variety of subjects over the years. Welcome, David. Thank you for having your camera on. It's good to see you. I teach marketing, critical thinking. I developed a personal branding class. I have an extensive career development background. I've taught math even. I've taught something like 9 different subjects: organizational development, management, leadership. But out of all the subjects that I teach, this subject, oral communication, is a subject from which I derive the most satisfaction. Because I've come to believe that the ability to stand up and to say what has to be said, the way that it has to be said, at the time that it has to be said, to the people who need to hear it, is a fundamental building block to becoming a fully empowered human being. And so from that perspective, you can understand and appreciate how facilitating a process through which other people acquire this ability would be something I would find a lot of gratification in. We have a variety of needs that we share as human beings. Nice seeing you, Marcos. Welcome aboard. All the Maslowian needs of physical safety and food, and belonging and self-esteem. But there's one need that we share, all of us, probably one of the things that drive you all for being here today and what drives me to do what I do. And that is the need to make a difference, the need to leave a mark, the need to leave the world in at least a small way a better place because we walked on it. That no one's on the face of this earth to walk across the beach and not leave footprints in the sand. And our ability to stand up and say what has to be said when it has to be said is an important part of leaving behind footprints we can feel proud of. We have an innate capacity, an innate readiness, a preparation to connect with one another. Human beings didn't evolve and survive because we're the strongest or have the biggest teeth. We've survived and thrived because we come together, we cooperate, we communicate, we work together. And that applies in our social lives. When big things happen to us that affect our group, our family, our community, we don't manage them well as individuals. We come together and we celebrate, or we mourn, or we grieve. We process things together. When people are born, we come together. When people are married, we come together. When people enter into the military, when they graduate from high school, when they graduate from college, when they have special anniversaries, when they have special birthdays, when they retire, when they pass away. We come together and we benefit from having people in our group stand up and say, this is what this meant, this is what this means to me. This is what this means to me, that this couple have now made this lifetime commitment. They have one life and they're going to go through it together. That they've brought together another human being into this world, that this person is now serving the military, risking their lives, putting their hand up, volunteering to stand on the line so the rest of us can play out here. This is what grandma meant to me. And it helps us all. It benefits the whole group because now we have a context from which to decide what it means to us. We can say, okay, I see this. You're speaking on our behalf. We're coming into a consensus as to what it means. And in these moments, our hearts oftentimes have stories that yearn to be shared. And if we don't give voice to them, we oftentimes find ourselves living in a land of regret. I wish I would have said something at my grandmother's funeral. I wish I would have said something at my parents' anniversary. I wish I would have said something before my sister went off into the military. We don't want to be in that land. There was no reason for us to. And so this class is intended to help us learn to do all that. Stand up, make a difference. In fact, this capacity that we have is so rarely tapped into But oftentimes speakers who come to the front of the room and first experience it, and it's intimacy, to actually connect with this natural need we have to be part of a fabric of humanity, and to come in front of a room full of strangers and say things and sense intuitively that this group of people are now believing that maybe this person has something of value to me to share. It's such a powerful sense that oftentimes students will take a physical step backward in its realization. It's as though they're standing at the precipice of their own potential. And in looking out over the abyss, they will take a physical step backward, called a retreat step, so they can actually step back from their potential. And should you ever feel that way in this class, I'm going to instead encourage you to see that as a cue to step forward, to step off the cliff's edge, to trust that your wings will sprout and carry you. I believe that Icarus was smiling as he plummeted to the earth, because we will all surely perish, but we will not always take the risks we need to realize our potential. If you're going to be a failure in this class, be a tremendous failure, be a colossal failure, be the world's biggest failure. Take some risks. A fall from 10 feet can kill us. We may as well fall from 10,000 and enjoy the ride. When I think about public speaking, I'm oftentimes reminded of this image here, which is an image depicted by who painted that image? Any folks know this? You should know this. Somebody should know this. No artist in the place? No one knows. I stumped the class. Okay, I'm going to get a different group for the trivia contest tonight. This is Norman Rockwell. This is his depiction of freedom of speech. Norman Rockwell was contracted by FDR to depict what FDR felt were our 4 fundamental freedoms. Freedom of speech was one. This is Norman Rockwell's interpretation of freedom of speech. And when I see this image, I see the image of a man dressed in the ordinary clothes of a working man. His flannel shirt is rumpled. His leather jacket is worn. If we look further, we see that his hands are calloused and tanned. This is a man who works outdoor and makes his living by the sweat of his brow. And he's standing amongst people who are of a presumably higher socioeconomic status. The people around him are older, they're better dressed, presumably they're more well off, more influential and prominent in the community. But nonetheless, despite his disadvantageous socioeconomic status, he's able to command their attention. His chest is out, his shoulders are back, his head is high, his voice is clear. We like to look in the mirror and say, I'm a stand-up guy. I'm a stand-up woman. But when I think what that means is in these moments in our lives when we're called upon to stand up for something, can and will we? I'm now going to do something that I'm forever going to be discouraging you from doing. I'm going to be reading a slide to you word for word. And there's a variety of terms for this, none of which are particularly complimentary. Death by PowerPoint is one. PowerPoint karaoke is another. And if at the end of this class, you're ever making a presentation hidden behind a lectern in a room, tethered to the keyboard, reading slides to people word for word, I will come back and haunt you. And in the natural course of events, since I'm much older, I should perish much sooner, and I aspire to be a very formidable ghost. My wife chuckled at that. But that's a rule, it's a guideline, it's got exceptions. And so I think sometimes there are words that are poetic enough to where we benefit from hearing them, even if we are reading them to an audience that's literate and can read for themselves. So I'll ask you to oblige me. And this exception as I read this quotation. It's from Marianne Williamson, A Return to Love. It used to be misattributed to Nelson Mandela for whatever reason. And I think it works whether you are a very religious person or if you're an atheist or there anything in between. I think it has value and merit regardless of your spiritual foundation. Our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate, but that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, handsome, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God within us. It is not just in some, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our fear, our presence automatically liberates others. I'm now going to ask you too, if you don't already have one handy, to get out a piece of paper and a writing implement. You're about to compose the first speech of this class. And to present this speech for credit, you'll either need to have your camera on or some reason why that isn't something you can do tonight, which you can just send me in the chat if you like. So I am going to give you, because speakers need to be seen to receive credit for their presentations. And that starts with presentation numero uno. I am going to give you exactly 2.5 minutes to create a response to the following question. How do you like your eggs? No, that's not the question. The question is, why are you here? Why are you here? And you can define here any way you wish. Why are you here in your house right now? Or wherever you happen to be enjoying this class from, or suffering from this class from. Why are you in this school? Why are you in this program? Why are you in this city, in this state, in this country, on this planet, in this universe? Why are you a creature in another, and why are you a participant in the dream of some other creature? I'm going to give you exactly 2.5 minutes. The primary challenge is to have your presentation last at least 30 seconds. You may begin writing now. Your 2.5 minutes begin now. That's 30 seconds. That's 1 minute. That's 1 minute, 30 seconds. That's 2 minutes.
How many minutes do they have?
Ten more seconds. and time. I will now invite you in alphabetical order to present your first speech of the class. So is it Talon or Talon? I'm guessing Talon.
You would guess correctly. Most people
All
get
right. Oh, no, well, Talon like talent.
yes. That's exactly what I tell people too. It works out.
Okay, the floor is yours, Talon.
Okay. I'm here because my lived experience has driven me to want to make a difference in the spaces in which I exist. Whether that be professional or personal, it's something I'd like to see happen. Change, like differences, can be intimidating, but I ultimately feel that through embracing change, we can live more fulfilling lives.
That's 23 seconds. Shilpi Barrio. Oh, you're muted, Shilpi. Half our conversations begin with you're
Yeah,
muted.
sorry.
nowadays. It's
Yeah,
not fun, not a problem.
I'll start from the beginning. The question is, why am I here? This question always haunts me day and night. Am I doing good enough to keep myself and my family happy? Why am I get sad when I lose something? Why am I get happy when I gain something? Will I be able to bring a little change in life that will impact others, that can help others? I have these thoughts every now and then after this pandemic started. Life is so precious, but it feels like it is slipping like a sand. So be grateful to what you have in life and just enjoy. Thank you.
38 seconds. Thank you. Paul Casado.
I am here to further my education and ultimately make the best version of myself as I can. I plan to use my education to get a good job helping people in the public service work field and just help and save as many lives as I possibly can.
11 seconds. Michael Jong.
Well, I'm here because I want to overcome my fear of speaking in front of people that I barely know. Also, I want to determine what my strengths and my weaknesses are in terms of speaking in front of people and my writing skills. Because I've been scared and nervous when I'm always talking to strangers. I also want to improve my development in school so that I could utilize it for my advantage in the future.
4 seconds. Thank you. Melody Karami. Now, are we going to be seeing you today, Melody? There we
Yeah,
are.
hi.
Wonderful. Great. Thank you.
Hi.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Good to see
Sorry,
you.
good to see you too. My name is Melody. The reason why I took this class and why I'm here, I wanted to be able to communicate with my peers, especially the patients that I interact with every day. I am a medical assistant, so I do talk to patients every day for hours on end. And it's difficult for me to sometimes communicate with them because I'm not really confident in the way I express myself. So I hope to really learn and be confident in the way I express myself. And I hope this class really helps me out with this. Also, communication really is important on how we speak and how we interact with each other. It's how we communicate, and it's a really important skill that everyone should have. So hopefully this class is able to help me out with that. Thank you.
45 seconds. Thank you, Melody. Toy Lee. I think I'm getting worse. Sorry, Toy. Will we see you today, Toy?
Sorry, I'm actually not. I'm in the car, so it's
Oh, okay. You're not driving, are you?
no, I'm not.
All right. Okay,
So
okay, all right. You
I'm
can
here,
turn the camera on your phone though, no? Even when you're in the car? Can't you do that just briefly for this?
Yeah, sure.
Sure, let's check you out. I've had a lot of students participate in their cars. I've even had students who they would work on a military base and they would take lunch and participate in the whole class from their car. So that's not a problem. Anyway, good to see you. I'm sorry, please, the floor is yours.
So I'm here. I'm here for obvious reason. My parents brought me into this life, and the reason I'm here in this class is so that I can succeed and further my education. That's all.
All right, thank you. I got 13 seconds. Okay. Thank you. And if you want to turn the camera back off, that's fine too. I mean, I know it's a little strange in the car, but just to let you know that people do participate in their cars. It's not unusual at all. Abigail Medina, floor is yours.
Hi guys, I'm Abigail. The question is, why are you here? I'm also here to further my education. I graduated from UCSD last year, so I'm just taking some classes for professional development, like some of my colleagues have said here. I took public speaking because it's definitely something I lack in. I took this class with goals of, trying to be more confident when I talk, having the courage to not only motivate myself, but to motivate others, to form connections, just to be more confident in what I'm saying, because I know I stutter a lot, I say all the time. So it's definitely something I think is for me to work on for my professional career in the future. And I believe, you have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations in order to grow as a person. So that's why I'm here today.
You got 55 seconds. Thank you, Melody.
My name's Abigail.
Abigail, I'm sorry, Abigail.
You're good.
In fact, I was looking at the roster saying, wait a minute, that can't be right. I'm sorry about that. Nice to meet you. Slap in the face for the instructor. Eliana, it's your turn. Where's Eliana?
Hi.
Eliana. Hi, where? There she is. Hello, Eliana. The floor is yours.
Okay. I'm here because I feel like this is where I need to be. Everything that's happened in the past has led me to where I am now. I believe everything happens for a reason, and how I've grown as a person is reflective of that. Um, I'm here because I feel as though I'm meant to do something great, and everything leading up to that will be an experience in and of itself.
21 seconds. Thank you. Maya Smith.
Okay, so I'm here to not just improve my public speaking, but to improve my confidence when doing it, and to speak up on things that I really believe in.
Thank you. That was 9 seconds. I mean, if you wanted to continue adding a few things, I'm not over there looking over your shoulder. In other words, you can cheat. It's okay. You can add a few stuff. If you only got 9 seconds of material there, you can, go ahead and add a few. Thank you. Kristen Warzakowski.
Hi, I'm here because I'm just trying to get ahead. I'm actually still in high school and I'm just trying to get like a little bit of a head start on my education. And I know that starting now is going to do me a lot of good. And yeah, I don't want to like fill my plate too much by doing too many classes because I still work. while doing school. So I'm just trying to get ahead.
26 seconds, thank you. And Eric Jang. I haven't forgotten you yet, Marcos. I just got you on the bottom of the list. So Eric.
Hey everyone, I'm Eric. I'm here because I often struggle to make points because I find tangent thoughts a lot more tempting to entertain, and I'd like to turn that into an advantage in public speaking. And I'm also here at this school because university systems aren't very forgiving for students that are in annoying situations, but I'm not mad about it because I think taking this class might be a lot more interesting at a community college than a four-year university.
Thank you. That's 33 seconds. And Marcos, bring us home, please.
Okay, I wrote it on my
But if
phone.
we can see you, if we can see you too, Marcos, while you present.
Oh, I wrote it on my phone. Is that okay? I can just read it.
Oh, sure. Wait, oh, I see. So you've got the phone. Oh, so your phone is also the, so if you turn your camera on your phone, you won't be able to see it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
All right. Good, thank you.
Okay. I'm here to make something of myself by accomplishing my goals so my future children can be proud and use me as a positive role model in life or when they need motivation. Also, when I accomplish these goals, I'll always remember not to quit or give up. Hopefully, along with my children, I can inspire and motivate others along the way. And also, I'm here because I can also gain a little more confidence in public speaking because it's not the easiest thing to do. So, yeah.
Thank you, Marcos. All right, well, let me just reflect on some of the wonderful things that y'all had shared with me. Oh, good seeing you, Marcos. Cool. So
I didn't
first
get
off-
a chance to go yet.
oh, I missed David. I'm sorry. Well,
No
thank
worries.
you so much. It's just my day to, my day. It's just my day to have oversights.
No worries. I
And
think somebody
did I
else.
miss you too, Johnny?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So which you two are going to go first?
I can go first.
Okay, good. All right, good. I love assertiveness. Okay, David, I'm sorry. The floor is yours and
No
no, Johnny.
worries. All right. So why am I here? I'm not sure, to put it simply. Could it be because I needed a prerequisite? Because I wanted to improve my public speaking? Because I love San Diego? Because my parents decided to leave their home countries and come to this country? Because by some random meteoric events, I'm just here? There could be a lot of reasons, but I guess I choose to just not know.
Thank you for the very patient Johnny Lopez. The floor is now yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Joni Lopez. I came here from the Philippines when I was 10 years old. I joined the military straight out of high school. I actually graduated high school early when I was like 17 and a half. And ever since then, the military stationed me in San Diego for the past almost 4 years now. And ever since I've been here, I've been trying to pursue a degree. Well, I switched my majors a couple of times, and then they offered classes on base, but then they canceled it because of COVID. So I just didn't go to school at all. And I figured when I'm almost out that I should probably get a degree because it's kind of scary out there. And over there, it's kind of easy because, everything is kind of handed to you, like free medical, like you guys don't have, that's really expensive. And I just feel like with a better degree and with a better chance at life, I am here in this class for myself and my daughter. And I also want to be like a better communicator person because it's kind of different for me to be talking to a different set of environment because in the military, I'm very like assertive and direct. And I'm not like that, like in just a normal setting, I'm very timid and shy and I don't really talk. So hopefully this class will just help me realize and help me learn how to be a better communicator.
Minute 10. Well done. Well, first off, I want to share some kudos here and commend you on a couple of wonderful early indicators of your commitment and work ethic. I was blown away by how many students had already done the first exercise in the class and already posted your introduction. Because when I did this class, for the asynchronously for the first time last summer. This is only the second time I've done it asynchronously. I didn't get nearly that type of initiative demonstrated. It was a wonderful class, but it's wonderful that people already day one of our meeting are already engaged in forming teams, because this is a short summer session, so to hit the ground running, really, really important. And then secondly, I want to commend you on just the average length of time in your presentations this morning. I'll have entire classes where no students even go 30 seconds. And so you heard how many were 50 seconds, a minute, 45 seconds, which I think, again, shows that you're already investing a lot into this class, and I feel really good about that. Let me just reflect on a few things, and then we'll get into why we did that. The notion of making a difference in the spaces that you exist in, I have a personal mission statement, and at its core is to make every situation better because I'm part of it. And so that really resonated with me, the notion of why am I here? So I challenge myself wherever I am. If I'm standing in line at the post office, if I'm driving in traffic, if I'm teaching a class, no matter what I'm doing, try to set as a goal, how can I make this situation better because I'm here. And the notion that the question haunts me day and night. You know, I'm going to share a little secret here. Okay, and that is, you've just given the most difficult speech of the entire class. I tasked you with answering the question that should haunt all of us day and night. The question of purpose. Why am I here? David says he chooses not to know. That's a marvelously Zen surrendering perspective. But it's a question that we have to answer. Why do I want it to have made a difference? Because I woke up today. And to answer that question that's at the core of our existence, I gave you all of 2.5 minutes, which I think is in a reasonably short period of time. And I counted off those minutes in 30-second increments. And then I let you know while you were presenting how much time your presentations were taking, so you knew a stopwatch was running. If at any point in this class you find yourself anxious or apprehensive about making a presentation, I want you to reflect on the fact that today you've all already made one that was more difficult. This was the most difficult presentation of the entire class. Oh, and by the way, you all got 10 out of 10. So well done. You're well on your way to getting A's. Yeah, why not? Why not? Applaud the A. Sure, why not? Well, if it ended right now, it's like the first inning of a ball game. You know, we scored a run. Yay. Let's see. What's some other things? And becoming the best version of ourselves, I like to think that every class should have an opportunity to provide us with opportunities to live and grow as human beings. If you're here to meet a degree requirement, put a check in a box, move on to the next square, you're in the right place. I think that's a perfect reason to take a class. But if, on the other hand, if I freeze up, if you can give me a timeout signal, and then because every now and again my internet freezes up, sometimes I even get kicked out of my own Zoom. I'll be right back if that happens. But if I freeze up and you can't hear me, just give me a little timeout, and I'll know that I'm having some technical stuff. So yeah, taking a class just to put a check in the box, perfectly legitimate reason to take a class. The class is designed to be passed, so long as all the assignments are done reasonably diligently. You have an opportunity to come out with a superior grade. If, however, either today or in the weeks ahead, you're here to stretch and grow, reach beyond your grasp, grow as a human being, you're also in the right place, because there will be opportunities for that as well. I promise you. Let's see. Fear. Oh, and the idea of strengths and weaknesses. You're going to be getting tons of feedback in this class. I'm going to be having you make your presentations within a learning team. You'll record those on Zoom, and for every single presentation, you'll be getting a critique from your fellow student in your learning team, and I will watch your presentations, and I will make a recorded feedback critique for every single presentation. The notion of speaking to patients and to be taken seriously. We're going to be, one of the big emphases of this class is what I'm going to be calling the song that we sing. I don't think I'll be able to get into it today, but I'll be emphasizing it on Thursday. The song that we sing, the vocalization, that conveys our message in a way that allows us to talk about serious things in a way in which we get taken seriously. That's one of my aspirations for the class, is to help students acquire the ability to talk about a serious topic in a way in which they get taken seriously. And that is, of course, important to dealing with patients. And I'm a huge, nurses are my heroes, people who work in the medical field. I mean, during this last pandemic, I think we all owe them a debt. I love the notion of my parents brought me into the world. That's why we're all here. Naturally enough, a little tip of the hat for them. We're going to, another one of the emphases is going to be addressing all the uhs, ers, and so's, all that stuff. And I do think that we get a chance to grow as a person in this class. I've taught in the high schools a couple times for Miramar College, and I never thought I would like it. But one of the things that one of the things I believe this class can do is help people redefine themselves as something other than kids. A lot of times my students will say, oh, you know, we kids, I don't teach kids. Even if you're in high school and you're about to graduate, you're a budding adult, let's put it that way. So we're all going to be acting and treated like adults. I don't see the point and because that's an important self-definition if we want to be taken seriously as adults by other people. And so it begins with us saying, no, I'm not a kid, and I don't expect to be treated like a kid. And I'm full of tangent thoughts, Eric. You're going to see in my classes, I tend to be drawn to anything that's shiny. So if my cat runs around, I'll talk about him, or, you know, if I see something, if somebody has a baby or a dog or something, I'll, you know, Maya's ceiling looks amazing there. She either doesn't have a ceiling, and it just has this great view of the sky, or else it's just a really cool kind of artwork there. So I'm always reflecting on those sorts of things. Oh, speaking of which, what branch are you, did you serve, or are you serving under, Johnny?
I'm in the Marines.
Marines. I've taught on the MCAS base twice. It's the most fun.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you for your service. And I'm off the scale liberal. So I'd be pulling into the parking lot with a I'm with her Hillary thing. And I would tell the students, that's my car out there, the 2004 orange convertible. So if you're going to key it, make sure you get the right one. You don't want to be keying the wrong person's car. All right, so get that old convertible out there. Do me a favor, put it out of its misery. Let's see. And I think being a role model is a wonderful thing. One of the things that I don't know if I have that much of a chance to talk about it in this class, we'll talk about it a little bit, but was the what I call the civilianization of some of our communication techniques. So one of which is, we're going to talk about body language a lot. One of which is to open up. This is one of the emphasis of the class. So one of typical or military body language, tight, you know, we will take the hill. Well, in civilian, it's a little bit much. We say, you know, we have not met our sales targets, or, you know, this is how you make a pizza. It's a little bit, so to open up. We're talking about the civilianizing of both the rhythm and flow of our song, as well as the way in which we speak non-verbally. So well done. Okay, thank you for that. Who was nervous, anxious, or scared about doing that? Anyone nervous at all? Scared? Nobody got nervous? Thank you, Marcus. Thank you, Johnny. If you, you know, I always get amazed when Marines in particular. I always go, you know, charge the machine gun nest. Check. Give a speech. Yeah, it's amazing. Speaking of which, how many folks or how many veterans we got in the class? Johnny's the only one. Really? Wow. Okay, Johnny, go. Well, thank you. It's cool. All right. Scared or nervous? Why do I ask that? Because public speaking, study after study shows, one of the biggest fears human beings face. It's global, it's cross-cultural. In some ways, it doesn't make any sense, but it's real. Poll after poll. Yes, please, Talon, go. What do you got?
Just out of curiosity, have you seen a difference in the way that, I guess, people have gone about public speaking on virtual platform versus like within a platform where they're speaking with physical, like other people, and the difference in like their ability to do so?
I tell you, Talon, that's such a great question. And I've been really gratified and relieved to see that, number one, the same type of anxiety that people feel in front of the room, they're feeling in the Zoom as well. So, because one of my biggest fears has always been that the skills don't transfer. For number one, I'm even concerned about, even if we're in the same physical space, will it transfer out of the classroom into real world environments, which is why I take my students on a field trip to Toastmasters so that they can actually see, hey, this works. It doesn't have to just work in my classroom. So my concern has always been, will this transfer over into real world environments? And I can tell you, number one, students walking through their fear, developing a comfort zone, feeling that anxiety, they're experiencing all of that. And developing a comfort level in presenting, I do think that there's going to be a high degree of transferring into the non-virtual environments. What's required? Have to have the cameras on. Because we feed off each other, and we see faces and we connect as human beings. And if you just see all these letters on a screen, to me, that's just soul sucking. That's just, it just feels like your life energy is just flowing off a cliff edge. You know, it's like a vampire experience. It just doesn't work. But the short answer is, I've been concerned about that, and I'm confident that I'm facilitating a process through which it does transfer to the real world. And because I get so many reports of the anxiety relieving, I see the development in people's presentation skills, and I also see people in particular who do stand up when they present, feeling the sensation of, I have command of the space in a way that's analogous to being in a real world environment. Having said that, there's nothing like standing up, coming to the front of the room, turning around, seeing the faces in the real space. I mean, there's just so much you can replicate in a virtual environment. And so the standing up, walking to the front, turning around, seeing that sea of faces, I do think that is something that you just can't replicate. But I do think, by and large, the skills are transferring. Yeah, please go on.
I say thank you.
Oh, sure. No, that's why we're here, right? To talk, dialogue, shoot the breeze. I've done this for a lot of years, and I'm honored you'd be interested in my experiences there. So public speaking, fear, top fear, poll after poll, public speaking number one, death is oftentimes number two. The way Jerry Seinfeld put it once, at a funeral, people would rather be in the box than reading the eulogy. And so I only know one way to overcome fear, and that is to walk through it. Much of my professional background has been grounded in working with people who've had to reconstruct their lives from various states of destruction, homelessness, drug addiction, getting out of prison. And in these environments, I've had the luxury of seeing a lot of people have to work through tremendous fear and redefining who they are as human beings. And in those environments, the term of art is you walk through your fear. You feel the fear, you keep on going. I'm going to be revisiting that. The notion that, as Dr. Susan Jeffers put it in her book titled Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. That's what you've all done today. You've all felt the fear and do it anyway. So let me get my video set up here. Make sure it's not mirrored. It's not mirrored. I have an external camera, which then makes it real easy. Just use it as a makeshift dry erase board. So somebody or somebodies take a shot at defining what a comfort zone is. What's a comfort zone? You start shouting them out. Comfort zone. Give me some definitions or some examples. Comfort zone. Comfort zone.
Being home. In your own
Home.
place.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, John. Home is comfort zone. More.
Being around people who you're familiar with.
Wow, that's so cool. Thank you, Eric.
Known limits.
What is it?
Known limits.
Known limits. Okay. Oh gosh, it's almost like you're almost like you're a plant. Some of you guys, just because you're taking this exactly where I'm hoping to go with it. How about one more? How about you, Maya? Got a definition for us? Comfort zone? Not being put on the spot to define comfort zone. That I took her out of her comfort zone with that. Who's going to pick Maya up? What about you, Shilpa? You got a definition for comfort zone? Everybody start thinking of definition. You might get called on. How about you, Abigail? You got a definition for comfort zone? We need one more here because we got all this space in here.
Yeah, being content.
Yeah, this is one of those is no wrong answers. This is beautiful. Great set of definitions. It's actually more insightful than the way I learned it under this model, which is I learned that our comfort zone is essentially the set of experiences with which we're familiar. See how I got the whole thing with the plant, and this is also a plant too, it almost seems. The set of experiences with which we're familiar, and we're drawn to it. We tend to be drawn to it. Out here, under this same model, is what they call foreign territory. Foreign territory. Most people avoid foreign territory. Now, there are the outliers amongst us who jump out of airplanes and, they bungee jump and they do all kinds of different exotic things. But most folks, we avoid foreign territory. We don't know the language or the customs. We don't know how we're going to survive. So we're drawn to the familiar. And one of the things that's fascinating about this model is that there can be god-awful things in here. You can have gangs, drugs, violence, bad relationships, bad jobs. But we know it. It's the old saying, the devil you know. In fact, once prison is in our comfort zone, once we're more comfortable inside than out, we'll find a way to get back in. Virtually a lost soul. It's called being you're institutionalized. Well, for most people, public speaking is out here. What do you suppose this line is made of? Or as Talon put it, the known limits. What's this line made of that differentiates the comfort zone from public speaking? What's this line made of? What's that actual barrier made of? It's a word I've been using for a while now. 4-letter word. No one knows any 4-letter words? Come on, you got my. Yes, thank you, fear. I was kind of almost hoping for some sort of obscenity, just to kind of liven things up. A little 4-letter word there. Yeah, fear, sure. We're afraid of this stuff. We're not afraid of that stuff. Well, how do we overcome fear? Walk through it. Each and every one of you today have done that. I'm hoping throughout this class, as you're with your learning teams, you'll find yourself walking through that fear. Facing periods and points of uncertainty and keep on going. Anxiety, keep on going. Ambiguity, keep on going. And what's going to happen is we're going to wear a hole in this comfort zone barrier, and we're going to make public speaking at least somewhat within our comfort zone. This is how we get to stretch and grow that which we get to call my life. It's a fundamental decision as to how we want to walk in this world. Are we going to choose intentionally to not let our fear stop us and thereby stretch and grow what we get to call me? Or are we going to stick to the familiar and have our lives shrink around us? It's a fundamental decision how we're going to walk in this world. For sake of full disclosure, dancing's outside my comfort zone. I've never been comfortable shaking it around, I gotta tell you. But I did take a dance lesson maybe a couple of years ago with my wife. After an hour, I was almost as good as doing the waltz as a self-conscious 9th grader. I felt real good about that. And I even got us a couple of dance lessons last Christmas before the pandemic hit. I wonder if that Groupon can still be good, but I should still get the credit for it, right? I gotta hunt that down. I gotta get back into dancing. Because if you're in the business of helping people walk through their comfort zones, maybe you ought to walk through your own once in a while too. I think that probably makes sense. I'd also heard that there's another barrier, another zone out here called panic. And they say a teacher's job is to take students outside their comfort zone, but not to the point of panic. because nothing productive happens at panic, except the mean old instructor might have a laugh. So you freak out, I might be laughing because I'm mean that way. Anyway, with the show. What do we got here? Okay, we still got another half hour. Okay, good. Gee whiz, all right. Whew, all right, man, it's so good to be talking to folks. It's such a cool gig. Talked about comfort zones. So why public speaking? Why do we do this? Well, adult learners, we need the case for relevance to be made. If the case isn't made that this is a relevant course, our brains aren't fully engaged. Children, it's not that critical. Children, you can tell them, hey, you just learned multiplication tables because I told you to. You can walk around the room, 11 times 12 is 132. Whack them on the wrist if they don't say it loud enough. But adults, we need to know why. So why? The ability to make a difference. If you're like me, you might have someone in your life that you turn to, your family turns to, your group turns to, and when there's funerals or whatever, marriages, and they're gonna stand up and say things on all our behalf. We need people like that in our lives. We can be that person. I've taught this subject for maybe 15 years now. And so I've long referenced Barack Obama's rising to the White House. He was a political nobody in 2004. He was a state legislator for the state of Illinois, passing laws for Illinois in the state capital of Illinois, which is, what's the state capital of Illinois? Anybody got that? Don't even has a guess. What's that? I saw you. I think you're muted, Johnny. Would you have a guess there?
Is it Springfield?
Well done. There's one person I want on my trivia team. The Marine, naturally. Want to be in the trivia foxhole with somebody? You get yourself a Marine. Anyway, yes, Springfield is the capital of Illinois. You can't say you're not learning things in this class. He gives a speech, 2004, 17-minute speech at the Democratic Convention. I saw it live because I'm a political junkie, and my jaw dropped. And I says, "Oh my God, this guy's amazing." I start emailing my friends saying, "You're not going to believe this guy." Conservative pundit Patrick Buchanan, after that speech, said, "A star is born." When Hillary Clinton was running for, 2 years later, he's senator in Washington from the state of Illinois. 2 years after that, he's running for president and wins. When he's running against Hillary Clinton, she somewhat ruefully said, "What's this man done? He's given one great speech." Well, I think that's a mischaracterization of his background. But the ability to give a speech that inspires millions of people, that's not a just. That's a rare capacity and an amazing accomplishment. What I'm about to share next, I hope doesn't break too many bubbles, destroy too many dreams. But it's entirely possible we don't all run for president. We may not even all run for senator, which is pretty disappointing. So what's public speaking have to do for us non-presidential candidates? I'm glad you asked. One thing that becomes shockingly apparent as birthdays accumulate is how unpredictable our career paths are. I never planned to be a teacher. Who knows what type of jobs you're going to be doing 10, 20, 30 years from now? You may have a career goal now that you think, I don't know, won't need to speak to anybody. It'll just be me. I'll be in a closet somewhere. I'll have a computer. I won't even have a window. There could be the apocalypse out there. The zombies won't even get me because there's not even just a door. And you may even reach this isolated nirvana, and you may be really, really good at it. And what do they do sometimes to employees that are really good at their jobs? You're really good at your job. What do? What do you got, David? Promotion. Thank you. You get promoted. Now you're ripped from your isolated bliss, and now you have presentations to make and teams to lead. I once had one student say, "Fire them." And I thought, fire them? What a dysfunctional company that is. You're just too good. You're making us look bad. You got to go. Anyway, yeah, we have no idea what our careers are going to entail. If you're in the medical field, of course, you're going to have to be having some very hard conversations with patients. If you're in any sort of design industry, you're going to need to describe and defend your design choices. We'll all certainly be needing to interview for jobs. And if you take my interpersonal class, we'll be dealing with personal branding, and we'll do some role playing of interviews. And so I actually have one in the fall. Just kind of market that while I'm at it. In retrospect, so many people say that communication skills were so important to them. College graduates, they cite oral communication as a skill most essential to career development. Rightly or wrongly, young people nowadays are not seen as having advanced communication skills. When different important stakeholders are polled, personnel directors, spoken communication skills, #1 ranking as far as demand and importance. College career services departments, communication and interpersonal skills, #1. Prospective employers, communication skills, #1, honesty and integrity, #2. Just imagine that. To an employer, it's more important that you communicate than you don't cheat, lie, or steal. Rightly or wrongly, people will make judgments about our competency based upon our ability to speak. They didn't sound like they knew what they were talking about. It's right there in the vernacular. We need to sound like we know what we're talking about. So what are some of the building blocks? What are some of the foundational tools? Well, I get really early, certainly by Thursday, we're going to be getting into some core presentation skills. How do we present? How do we give a speech? But those skills aren't going to work if we don't learn to trust our inner voice. The first step, the very beginning of being an effective communicator, is to accept the premise that we have something valuable to say. We have something important to share. That we have all taken a unique path that no one else has. And from that journey, we have a unique perspective that other people can benefit from. And that perspective and those experiences and the insights therefrom are worthy of the time and attention of the group in front of the room. That what I have to say merits the time and attention of the group. Because if we don't buy our message, we can't sell it. And all the presentation skills we're going to be learning in this class, they won't work if we don't believe that they're worth investing ourselves in. There's also another way in which we're going to learn to trust our inner voice, and that is by doing impromptu speeches. What do you suppose an impromptu speech is? Anyone got any ideas? Impromptu speech.
What we just
yes, to a certain extent, but I'm even going to be giving you a greater challenge. You won't even have 2.5 minutes. So let's hear from Kristen. Kristen, what do you suppose an impromptu speech is? Are you around?
It's a speech that you haven't prepared for at all, and you just talk.
Perfect. The country is in good hands with the deft thinking of the youth. Yes, that's exactly what it is. And here's how we're going to do it. Probably, I'd say a week from today, we'll do some impromptu speeches. And those of you who either in the group in the main for these scheduled voluntary Zoom sessions, or in your learning team sessions, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. And here's how it's going to work. You'll be asked to talk about anything and be given no preparation whatsoever. We'll just toss the question out. And you'll have to speak to that topic for between 45 seconds and 1.5 minutes, and it will be timed. With the absolute certainty that some of us will be asked to talk about something about which we know absolutely nothing, which is when we continue to hone and develop our ability to invent content, is the clean way to say it. I play along too. I was once asked to answer the question, how do you catch a Pikachu? And I could not emphasize enough, not just my delight at having been given that question, but my amazement at being selected to answer it. Because by sheerest coincidence, I happen to be the world's leading authority and expert on how to catch Pikachus. That I have not only an encyclopedic understanding of all the latest and greatest techniques, but I know how they used to do it back in the day. Well, they didn't have all these easy ways to catch those Pikachus. I have read from the old texts, the ancient books, studied under no less than the Dalai Lama himself. And so I know not only how to catch a Pikachu, but why it's so critically important that we know how to do it. And so I was delighted to finally have an opportunity to tell my students how to catch a Pikachu, and to catch a Pikachu, as it turns out, the same way you catch a bird, by putting salt on its tail. Now, of course, I had no idea what a Pikachu was, but I had faith that something would come to mind about how you catch something. And there used to be an old joke, how do you catch a bird? By putting salt on its tail. I have no idea why that was considered funny. We didn't have things like punctuation back then, okay? Back in those days, we thought that was funny. Just tell this guy what he just told me. How do you catch a bird? You tell me put salt on its tail. Oh my God, is that good? Yeah, we were very starved for humor back in the day. I don't even think we had teeth. I mean, they were very primitive times. So we're going to be doing that. Usually, I'm going to try to take us on a field trip as well. There's to a Toastmasters meeting, and we'll have an opportunity to take this on, take your show on the road and participate in these types of anyone know what Toastmasters is? Anyone ever hear of Toastmasters? Toastmasters? No Toastmasters, folks? All right. Toastmasters is an international public speaking development group. It's like making a wedding toast. There's over 120 of them here in the greater San Diego area. There's, I don't know how many thousands across the globe. And I've been taking my communication classes to these Toastmasters meetings on field trips for over 10 years now. And I hope to take us to one as well, virtually. And they do impromptu speeches as well. Now, typically guests like we will be are excused. But I always tell our Toastmaster hosts that excuse certainly does not apply to my students, who now, having completed a college class in communication, are not only well equipped and prepared to conduct themselves in an impromptu speaking activity with distinction, but are eager to demonstrate their newfound ability. And so we'd be honored if every one of my students were considered in play. Now, one of the things about Toastmasters is they have this marvelous sort of dichotomy of culture. On the one hand, they're incredibly supportive, but on the other, they have this competitive dimension. So they vote on who did the best at the end of the meeting, and that person gets a ribbon. Well, I'm a very competitive person, and I always tell my students, they've got our ribbon, and I don't like them to have our stuff. So we need to go to this meeting and bring our ribbon home. So when we go to this meeting, we're going to play for the ribbon. I got to play to win. If you keep score, why wouldn't you want the most points? I just don't get that. Recording. What was that? Somebody say something. Anyway, what have we got? 7:10. Okay, I can go just a little further and we'll talk about the assignments in that. Hi, Ishan. Okay, nice to, or Isan, is it?
Yes, sir. It's Isan.
Isan, okay, great. Nice to meet you, Isan. Thank you so much for popping in. I'm recording this session, so that'll be on, the recording will be on Canvas, but it's nice of you to join us. Wonderful.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And I do ask if unless there's a compelling reason not to, for students while they're in the Zoom room to keep the cameras on as much as possible. So it'd be awfully nice if you could turn yours on.
Oh, okay. Give me a second.
Sure. Yeah. Make preparations by all means if you may not be ready for your pajamas or something. You don't want anybody to feel a little self-conscious. So what do you need to be an effective public speaker? Well, it begins with trusting your inner voice and making the decision. Am I going to allow my story to be told, my flower to bloom? None of us lack the ability to do this. You've all done it today. There's not a single one of you that have been able to do it. Hi, Isan. Isan or Isan? I'm sorry.
Isan.
Isan, excuse me. Let me put the accent on the right side. Isan. Hello, thank you. Isan. Public speaking is a skill. Skills like riding a bike, they're acquired by practice. And so we're going to practice. We're going to keep on practicing. We're going to get better and better, just like riding a bike. My background, I've got a lot of experience at the point. I've got a lot of experience. I was the director of employment services for the largest agency in California, helping ex-offenders return to the community. I managed a residential program in London, England, helping homeless people who had substance abuse issues. I was senior coordinator for self-sufficiency programs at the San Diego Housing Commission. I've been a career advisor. I was a consultant for nonprofits. Let's see, that's essentially it. Had to have the types of hard conversations that people in leadership positions oftentimes have to have. I've been in theater, I've done community theater, dinner theater. I've done workshops. I did some video work from time to time. I've done consulting as a communication consultant for professionals. I've critiqued over 40,000 student speeches. I've helped students who have all types of different challenges, capacities, and talents. Students who've had agoraphobia, all types of trauma, anxiety, we get through it. Students who have limited English, stutters, all types of things, we get through it. No matter where you are in your skill set, whether you are a very advanced speaker already, or you have challenges or are very insecure in your ability to speak, I'm confident that I have some tools, suggestions, guidance that can help get you to the next square. And hopefully the next one after that. Let's see. I think we're nearing a natural break point. There's just a couple things I want to do. All right. We'll have fun or else. Let's see. To me, fun is a byproduct of taking on board challenges. It's a byproduct. No one ever calls someone up and says, "Hey, come on over, let's have fun." I mean, just unless it's a euphemism, it doesn't make any sense. Usually it's, "Hey, come on over, we'll shoot some baskets, we'll run, let's go for a run on the beach, let's go for a swim, play some video games, play some pool." We're going to do something that's challenging, and as a byproduct of taking on board a challenging process, we then have fun. I think that applies to classrooms as well. I'm generally successful in creating environments in which students are supporting each other. And I ask you to go outside your comfort zone to support each other in this class as well. I'm going to do one activity, and then I'll talk about the assignments and the class structure. And for this activity, I'm going to ask you to stand up. Now, if you're like me, and over the Zoom years, I'm wearing jeans now, that matters. But if we're not having always been a pants wearing society. If you want to turn your cameras off while you stand up, by all means do so. But I'm going to ask you to stand up now, if you would, please. Very good. Isn't this nice? These wonderful young folks standing up. It's great. Okay. All right, hands at your sides. No arms uncrossed and hands uncrossed. Thank you, Eric. Wonderful. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you to take a deep abdominal inhale through your nose. And by that, I mean you try to draw breath in from a place 2 inches below your navel to actually try to expand from that place and bring air in. And so let's take a deep abdominal inhale through the nose. Fill your lungs with potential. Let it all go. Empty yourself completely. Again. Oh yeah, feels good. Let it go. And at your own pace one final time. Good, let it go. This is an activity that's sometimes called centering. In that I gather my attention and my energy and center it towards a specific goal. A little girl in a high heel shoe will make a deeper impression in the sand than an elephant because her force is centered and focused. Just having done that, my head is up, my shoulders are back, my chest is out, my stomach is tucked, my feet are rooted to the ground. This is our place of power. This is our place of peak performance. And we either don't find this place or we drift away from it because physiologically we still respond to stressors the same way we did as human beings 10,000 years ago. Now, 10,000 years ago, the type of stressor we might encounter could include a saber-toothed tiger. Now, if a saber-toothed tiger were to walk in here right now, I would be poorly prepared for that. No, I would want instead my breathing to be short and shallow. All that adrenaline channeling to my muscles so that I can either fight for my life or run for my life, knowing I don't need to outrun the saber-toothed tiger. I just need to outrun somebody else. But there are no saber-toothed tigers. What are there? Presentations, tests, job interviews, those difficult one-on-one conversations that we have to have in life, which we can also delve into. And for those types of stressors, this is the place from which we are most likely to succeed. Just having done that, I have slowed down, which is the number one piece of guidance I give to speakers, to slow down. My voice is deeply resonant and abdominally projecting with power. This is our place of power. This is our place of peak performance. And so before every class, I'm going to be leading us in this centering activity. And when you get together with your learning teams, I'm going to similarly be encouraging you to get yourself centered. And going forward outside of this class, I hope it becomes a habit so that whenever you are facing an evaluative and or stressful situation, you get yourself set. You get yourself centered. You get yourself prepared to peak perform under pressure. Y'all can have a seat now if you like. Nice seeing a sea of young folks standing tall though, I will say that, it's fun to see. I also do this every time before I interview for a job. Now I don't do it where anyone can see me. Why don't I do it where people can see me? Any thoughts? Why don't I do that where people can see me? No one guesses. I'm going to come enter the interview room, start taking some centering breaths. That'll work great. I don't. Yes, Talon. Why don't I do it where people can see me?
Maybe you don't want to give off any impression that like you're nervous or that you're not prepared or.
You're so thoughtful. That is correct. That is 100% correct. The way I put it more simply, I just don't want to look silly. It looks silly. I mean, you imagine you're on the interview panel. What's that guy doing out there? And he's taking some breaths. What is that? What is that guy? Sure. Who screened his resume? So yeah, I don't do it where people can see me because I think it looks silly. But I'm also a proponent of the notion that if we're going to be successful in life, and this applies to this class, we need to be willing to run the risk of looking silly in the eyes of other people. And so I model silliness, class 1, and I aspire to be the silliest person in the room. You've already heard I'm a competitive person. If you've got a similar aspiration, consider the gauntlet to have been thrown. All right, let's talk about the class structure. We'll wrap it up. You're going to be doing your presentations as members of a learning team. The structure for this class is going to exactly mirror the structure for my synchronous classes, the structure for my in-person classes. The only thing is you're going to be doing this and implementing the same structure within the context of your learning team, a group of 3 or 4 students, as opposed to an entire group. And I'm going to go over now somewhat quickly the various roles of your learning team, and I'll revisit it again at a slower pace on Thursday. That's because the amount of retention from a lecture is actually very limited. And so if you want people to actually remember things, you have to just discuss it more than once. Every speech is going to be timed. And what I'm going to be encouraging you to do is to have a couple of sheets of paper of different color, green, yellow, red, so that you can time each other. You're going to be meeting in a Zoom session as a learning team. So you're going to need to create your own Zoom account, which will be good for 40 minutes. And you're going to need a YouTube account because you're going to be recording and uploading the videos into YouTube and submitting the link into Canvas. I'm also okay with just submitting the link right directly from Zoom as well. You can record your Zoom sessions on the cloud, just send the link, and you can avoid the YouTube upload if you want. But the speeches are going to be submitted as a link to either YouTube or the direct Zoom link. So you're going to need a time that you can meet on Zoom as a team, 3 or 4 people as a learning team. So I see that many of you have already been on this. And so you've already gotten on to the Canvas, you've already posted a personal introduction. And I do that so that people can sort out for themselves, oh, gee, this person seems to have some like interests and sort of a similar work ethic. And we have an intersection as to what times and days we're available to meet on Zoom so that there aren't any complications down the road where everyone can't meet at the same time. You're going to be introducing each other. I'll be talking about that. That is to say that you'll have a personal introduction that you'll be using to introduce each speaker, to an applause before the presentation as well as after the presentation. I'll get into that. There'll be a timer, but most critically, there's going to be a student in the learning team on a rotating basis that is going to be doing an oral critique of each speech. And I'm going to be giving guidance as to how to do that, because the ability to give feedback to one another is a really valuable skill. And you're going to be learning some wonderful tools to be able to give feedback to people in ways that they don't personalize. And so there's going to be an oral critique from your teammate, from one of your learning teammates. I will then look at your team presentations, and I will provide an oral critique, an extensive oral critique of a couple of minutes long for each and every speech that you give as a learning team. So you're going to be getting feedback from a teammate and feedback from me on every speech you give. So that's the basic structure. You meet as a learning team in Zoom. You record your presentations through Zoom, submit the link either from the shareable link through Zoom or through your YouTube upload onto Canvas. That's how the class is going to be organized. And it actually worked pretty well last year when I did it this way. it's really time intensive on my part to look at your videos and then record mine, upload them, send you the link for each learning team. That takes a lot of time, but I'm willing to invest it, particularly since this is the only class I have at Miramar College this over the summer. So I can do that. And then I've got 2 synchronous classes in the fall, and then hopefully in the spring, we're actually in the real-time space. So anyway, any questions, comments, thoughts? How many of you are already formed as a learning team? You are, Isan? Good, good, good. Wonderful. Melody, okay. Oh, wonderful. That's good. I was blown away by how many people had already been on the ball on that. Now, I've already mentioned I'm a competitive person. So I want to get some good teammates on my team. And just as a general speculation, I tend to think that the people who have participated in doing this earlier tend to be the most, let's say, industrious students. So what am I saying? If you're not on a team already, you might jump on and get on a ball to get on a team, because you don't want to be on a team with someone who, you know, they're late in getting this assignment in, because then they may not be the most punctual in their other assignments as well. You can extrapolate. All right, well, if there aren't any more questions, then I am going to stop the recording. Boom.